Hello and welcome to another edition of Toys from the Attic. For today's episode, I thought we'd take a look at Kenner's glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at this guy. In the animated series, Swamp Thing was once a scientist named Alec Holland, whose secret laboratory was destroyed by Arcane and his evil cronies. Doused with burning and corroding chemicals and falling into a nearby swamp, the resulting accident transformed him into the Swamp Thing. He is now vowed to protect the swamp from all evil with his supernatural powers. This story is different than in the comic books, where it is later revealed that Swamp Thing is actually a plant elemental who has gained the thoughts and memories of Alec Holland after he was tragically killed. Okay, so here we have Quick Strike Swamp Thing. Now, I've said before that I normally don't like to get variants of characters, especially if it's only a subtle difference like skin tone or arm or other stuff. However, Swamp Thing is the major exception. I think it's because he's a plant character, and in the show he was able to change into all different types of plants, whether it be vines, roots, moss, and in this case cacti. And in that regard, yeah, so I kind of like that idea. Now, his main gimmick was that you squeeze his legs together, and sorry, I can't find his little axe with me. I thought I had it up here, but I just can't, I misplaced it. But anyways, you just squeeze his legs together, and his arms would go back and forth, and he would just swing his little weapons around like crazy. And that was pretty much it. If you look real close, he has the standard Swamp Thing-ish features. I mean, that prominent nose ridge fold thing there. He has his little red eyes. And you can kind of tell in the sculpt, I hope it's coming through, that he's made up of tons and tons of cacti, which is actually a pretty interesting idea. If you really wanted to fend off someone or didn't want them to punch you and other stuff, you were a plant guy, why not grow a bunch of prickly armor all over your body? Now, as far as articulation goes, I mean, this is, once again, this is an 80s toy, so it's only up and down on both the legs and the hands. And that's pretty much it. Well, we were lucky to get any type of articulation we could back then, and it was mostly using our imaginations. Now, sadly, this guy, he seems a little bit lopsided for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah, he can't really stand. He's always going to want to lean to one side and fall over. It's a little bit of a shame that he can't stand up on his own. It's just one leg just seems to be really oversized compared to the other. I think that might just be because of his gimmick. They needed to make one a little bit more sturdy so when you pull it out, his arms will go back and forth. Now, the other cool thing about this guy is that he actually glows in the dark, which is kind of odd because I don't know how many kids would be playing in the dark with these guys, but still, back then when you're a kid and you have something that glows in the dark, it's really cool. Now, let me switch and turn off the lights now. Alright, so here we have him showing off his glow-in-the-dark feature. Now, granted, I'm cheating a little bit. I have a black light on him to help supercharge the glow-in-the-dark plastic. Otherwise, you would have had to leave him under the light for a good 20 minutes in order for him to get this type of glow. Still, it's kind of really impressive to see how cool he looks in the dark. Any kid who probably had this guy under the light and then turned off their lights at night would definitely see this guy sticking out in his pile of toys or on his shelf. And because of that, well, at the time, I was a fan of anything that was glow-in-the-dark. It always just seemed cool, trippy, and weird. And I think all kids kind of go through that little phase where they just love glow-in-the-dark materials. And because of that, this Swamp Thing actually always stood out to me and is one of my favorites. But anyways, this has been a look at Quick Strike Swamp Thing, or as I call him, the glow-in-the-dark Swamp Thing. Once again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen today, please feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below in the comment section. Also, feel free to check out some of my other toy review videos. Anyways, see you next time.